We, the National Football League, condemn racism and the systematic oppression of Black people. We, the National Football League, admit we were wrong for not listening to NFL players earlier and encourage all to speak out and peacefully protest. We, the National Football League, believe Black lives matter.
President, just to clear, wrong to be putting pressure on the NBA, sir?
Well, the NBA is a different thing. I mean, I watch this guy, Steve Kerr, and he was like a little boy. He was so scared to be even answering the question. He couldn't answer the question. He was shaking. I don't know. I don't know. He didn't know how to answer the question. And yet he'll talk about the United States very badly. I watched Popovich, sort of the same thing, but he didn't look quite as scared, actually. I watched the way that, like, Kerr, and Popovich, and some of the others were pandering to China, and yet to our own country, it's like they don't respect it. It's like they don't respect it. I said, what a difference. Isn't it sad? It's very sad. To me, it's very sad.
Mark Levin.
Hello, America. I'm Mark Levin. I am done with the National Football League, the Philadelphia Eagles. I pulled this big magnet off my car that's been there for 4 or 5 years. Done. Any organization that believes, and whose members believe, that this nation is systemically racist, that the people who sit in those stands are systemically racist, that the people who overpay for the beer and the popcorn and the peanuts and all the rest of it, so the players can walk away as multimillionaires and the owners as billionaires, who can pay, in effect, the commissioner, Roger Goodell, $40 million a year, who are systemically racist, I want nothing to do with these people. Nothing whatsoever. Look how they blaspheme you and your family, your kids, your grandkids, your friends. Systemically racist, the fans, black, white, whatever. We make these people filthy wealthy. And then they lecture us. They put us down. And I'm done with ESPN, too. ESPN is 24/7. Systemically racist. Okay, then stick it. You understand, if we are systemically racist, if we have racism in our DNA, if the founding of the nation was flawed and forever flawed, cannot ever be improved upon, then the point is you can never, ever dig your way out of this. So it's a constant ideological and political gun to the head of each and every one of us, our children, our society. And the answer is always the same thing. Elect Democrats, and the country should move hard left. Who's benefiting from this? Just watch the news. The same leftists who go after the president, who go after conservatives, they're celebrating this. Their ratings are through the roof. And they keep showing us polls how the president's ratings are dropping. And I'm watching ESPN. I shut it off. No more ESPN. Who the hell needs it? And they're constantly attacking Trump, who had nothing to do with this. Not the Democrat Party. I haven't heard the Democrat Party criticized on ESPN. I haven't heard Barack Obama criticized on ESPN, or Joe Biden, or Nancy Pelosi, or Chuck Schumer, or any of these Democrat mayors or governors. Haven't heard them once criticized by ESPN. Why? Because 98% of the people who are on ESPN, white, black, in between, broadcaster, athlete, are voting Democrat. Democrat. And it's not just the NFL. It's the NBA and so forth. What you have are these leagues with these spectacular athletes, the majority of whom are African Americans, and the owners, a majority of whom are white. And the commissioner is so down with the protests. Guy's getting $40 million. If he's really down with the protests, why the hell doesn't he say, you know what? White privilege, the society is systemically racist. I'm stepping down, and I insist that the owners choose an African American. You never hear that. And what you never hear from these multimillionaire and billionaire African American athletes is, you know what? I live in the community I came from. You know what? I send my kids to the schools in the community I came from. No, they don't. I don't think any of them do. But that's all right. They stand with Black Lives Matter. Why don't they live in these communities? Why don't they send these kids, their kids, to the schools in these communities? You want to know why? They're hypocrites. They're frauds. They want to live where they live. They want to earn what they earn. Because, you see, their success is earned. The rest of you, your success is not earned. It's not earned. They're treated like kings. Female sports treated like queens, whatever the race. Treated like kings, treated like queens. They make money that's unimaginable. They live in palaces, wherever they want to. But they don't live in Watts or Harlem or Newark or Camden or North Philly or West Philly or the South Side. None of them. Oh, yeah, they'll go back on Thanksgiving and hand out turkeys. They'll send up a foundation for $1 million, $10 million, maybe $100 million, like Michael Jordan, who's worth well over $1 billion, just put up. Sure. But you know what? Money's cheap for a lot of these folks. Again, all races. And talk is even cheaper. And everybody works themselves into this hysteria about racist America. This is the least racist, most diverse nation on the face of the earth. There's not another place like it. Not another one. Period. Period. You want to know why LeBron James lives where he lives? Michael Jordan lives on Jupiter Island, among other places. You want to know why he lives where he lives? You want to know why Steph Curry lives where he lives? Or who's this jackass this guy was saying to this Greg Popovich, where he lives? Not only are they spectacular hypocrites, but they're not stupid. They're not stupid. Here's a piece from January 11, 2017 by the great Dr. Walter Williams. May I say an African-American who is not on a single news program. Instead, the more radical left, the bookers want you desperately. But not Walter Williams. Now, these are facts. I know this is hard. 2017, the FBI reported that the total number of homicides in 2015 was 15,696. Blacks were about 52% of homicide victims. That means about 8,100 black lives were ended, this is for 2015, violently. And over 90% of the time, the perpetrator was another black. Now, let's stop right there. Have you heard this on ESPN? Have you heard this by these white liberals? Did you hear this from Steph Curry? Or Popovich? Biden? Pelosi? Have you heard it from any of them? None of them. And yet this is where the slaughter is taking place. And this is why none of these folks want to live in these communities. It's not because of the police. It's because of the crime. It's the homicide. And this is just homicide. I'm not talking about rape, burglary, robbery, assault. I'm not even getting into that. Walter Williams goes on. Listening to the news media and the Black Lives Matter movement, this is more than 3 years ago, Walter Williams. One would think that black deaths at the hands of police are the major problem. It turns out that in 2015, police across the nation shot and killed 986 people. Of that number, 495 or 50% were white, 258 were black, that's 26%, and 172 Hispanic, 17%. A study of 2,699 fatal police killings between 2013 and 2015, conducted by John Lott and Carlisle Moody, and John Lott doesn't appear anywhere either. of the Crime Prevention Research Center demonstrates that the odds of the black suspects being killed by a police officer were consistently greater than a black suspect getting killed by a white officer. Got that? Politicians, he says, race hustlers in the news media keep such studies under wraps because these studies don't help their narrative about racist cops. The homicide victim is not the only victim, whether he is a criminal or not, for there are mourning loved ones. No one ever fully recovers from having a son, daughter, husband, mother, or father murdered. Murder is not the only crime that takes a heavy toll in the black community. Blacks are disproportionately represented as victims in every category of violent crime. Forcible rape, robbery, and aggravated assault. That's why. You can be a billionaire athlete, a multimillionaire athlete, a billionaire Hollywood star, or multimillionaire, or a coach, or a sports guy, whatever race. Sit back and say, hey, Black Lives Matter, police brutality. But they never talk about this. These communities that they specifically choose not to live in. The schools they specifically choose not to send their children to. They're busy living with the rest of the systemically racist society. Why is that? Why is that? Because we're living a lie. Because between the media and the Democrat Party and some of the phony leaders, we're living a lie. The fact is that the overwhelming majority of the people who you hear, who are in our culture, some of whom are iconic, will vote Democrat, are Democrats. Damn near every one of them is a hypocrite. A Class A hypocrite. They don't live like they speak because talk is cheap. Talk is cheap. They're not the problem, you see. The fact that they want you to believe they're sympathetic to these communities, that they're sympathetic to what's going on in these neighborhoods. But no, hey, I'm not going there. I'm not living there. Well, maybe they're systemically racist. Are pro athletes systemically racist? I'm starting to think. Is Hollywood systemically racist? I don't know. Beverly Hills doesn't look that diverse to me. Brentwood, Santa Monica. Who the hell do you think lives there? Who do you think lives there? Where's Barack Obama live? He doesn't live in any tough neighborhood. He buys a $15 million estate on Martha's Vineyard, buys a $5, $6, $7, $8 million property in a quiet part of Washington, D.C., He's building his library in a community that doesn't want the library because he's taking out all kinds of housing. He and Michelle Obama on the video circuit, on the talk circuit, very much down for the revolution while picking up checks from Netflix and all kinds of publishers. They got to be worth $300-400 million. Oh, that's okay, Mark. That's okay. So he sits back. And she sits back. And they say, speak out. Rise up. Speak out. Just don't bother me in Martha's Vineyard. No. So ask any one of these BLM supporters who's an athlete, who's a broadcaster, who's an actor, who's a politician. Where do you live? No, but I didn't ask you that. Where do you send your kids to school? Why do you support a party that has controlled most of these cities for at least 50 years, that has destroyed the educational system, that's in charge of the police forces, that does everything possible to prevent investment in their communities, enterprise zones, and so forth? Why do you support a party that supports that? They're never asked. Where does Jake Tapper live? Where does Don Lemon live? Where does Andrea Mitchell live? I don't know. Do they live in majority black communities? If not, why not? Why not? Why don't they speak out about the crime that's going on in these communities? And who's doing what to whom? It's horrific. If you're a victim, it's horrific. It's horrific. You want real change? Real change. Not the pablum you hear on ESPN, not the pablum coming from Obama, not the pablum coming from the Democrats on Capitol Hill, not the pablum from the white liberals in the media. No. You want real change? Then break out of one-party rule. Break out of the centralized top-down socialist model. It can't work. It starves people all over the world. It punishes people all over the world. You want real radical reform? It's not Marxism. That's for sure. But the NFL, I'm telling you the truth, won't be discussed here, won't be on any of our televisions. They get nothing from me. And if you're smart, you'll BDS them. They BDS us on the left. Boycott, divest, and sanction. I'm going to boycott, divest, and sanction the NFL. Boycott it. If you think the nation is systemically racist, all you millionaires choose to live with apparently systemically racist people. Again, doesn't have to just be white, just in wealthier communities. Clearly, if you're wealthier, it's systemically racist. Now the Democrats about systemic racism in the police force. The Democrats control the House of Representatives. Has there been one suggestion that they disband the Capitol Police, Mr. Producer? Well, the racism is systemic, so it's not a matter of a few people. The whole system is poison. So why don't they disband the Capitol Police Force? And what about Pelosi and the others with personal protection? See, they don't live what they tell you. Nancy Pelosi has a winery in Napa Valley. She lives like a queen. Yet she knows what's going on in these communities. But I tell you what, she knows. She would never live the way she tells everybody else to live, like these athletes. Never, ever. Now, there's a big picture of them taking a knee. The Democrats in Congress are taking a knee. Now, that's not a photo op. You see, only Trump does photo ops. And they did it for almost 9 minutes in honor of George Floyd. How about in honor of George Floyd, they get off their fat asses and actually do something in these cities that they control with an iron fist. Get off your knee, get off your ass, and do something intelligent and effective. I'll be right back. I'm happy to debate any of these coaches and athletes and sportscasters, any damn one of them. In fact, I'll take on 2 or 3 at a time. Because I'll tell you what, they're ripping off the black community more than anybody else. Oh, you ready for this? Let's take basketball. If you have a modest income or if you have a relatively low income, you can barely afford to take your family to a basketball game. Because everybody has their hand in the till. The owners, the league, especially the players. Hot dogs like $8, right, Mr. Producer? Beer's $10. Bag of peanuts is $5. So you go with your wife or your husband and you got 2 kids. How much is the cheapest ticket? I don't even know. It's not cheap. So maybe for one night at a basketball, a couple $100, would that be about right? Mr. Producer? Easy, couple $100. A couple $100 from somebody who breaks their ass as a janitor, a security guard, maybe has their own little store in the inner city. That's a lot of money. And where's the money go? To billionaires and millionaires. Billionaires and millionaires. It goes to Seth Curry. Goes to Greg Popovich. Goes to LeBron James. Now let's talk about cable for a second, particularly the sports package, which includes all the sporting events, NFL, basketball. You know, if you get basic cable, it's like, depending on where you live, could be $120 a month, maybe $140 a month. But if you want that sports package, oh yeah, you're paying more for that. Where's that money going? Same people. Plus Comcast. And Comcast owns what? NBC and MSNBC. You know where all those liberal reporters are and get paid a fortune? They're taking us all for a ride. All of us. What kind of change do they want in these communities? Look at them. They talk socialism. They're the biggest capitalist pigs in existence. All of them. To use their language, not mine. So they don't live in these communities they talk about? They don't send their kids to these communities they talk about? They rip off people who come from these communities and are fans. They rip them off through cable TV. They rip them off for the price of the tickets. They rip them off for the price of a damn beer and hot dog. Who's doing that? The system. You see, the system's doing it. The system's racist. Oh, really? How about Hollywood? How do these people become worth 10, 100, $150 million? By ripping you off, that's how. But it's your choice. It's voluntary. Of course it's our choice. But they're still ripping you off. They have no skin in this game, as Biden used to say. They have no, what am I trying to say? They're not invested really in any of this. Put out videos, they go on the internet, they trash people who don't agree with them. It's like Kaepernick taking a knee. Now everybody should take a knee. Everybody should disrespect the flag. Everybody should agree on police brutality. I don't agree on police brutality. The stats just don't show it. Hey, white privilege. That's another one. White privilege. Tell me, how many of these ESPN hosts, how many of these athletes, how many of these CNN and MSNBC hosts, how many executives of Comcast have gone to Appalachia? You know what you're going to see in Appalachia? The worst kind of poverty. White privilege up there in Appalachia. White privilege. In many of the poor little towns that don't happen to be New York or Washington, D.C. or Minneapolis. You know, there is a world outside these metropolitan areas, but you wouldn't know it. There's a big world out there with millions and millions of people beyond these metropolitan cities. And you got black people and brown people and yellow people and red people and white people. Most of whom have never gone to college. Most of whom have no chance of earning $1 million, $2 million, $40 million a year. And you talk to them about white privilege, and you talk to them about systemic racism. These people talking about our country have no idea who lives in this country. None whatsoever. None whatsoever. I don't need lectures from a $40 million a year NFL commissioner whose father was a liberal Republican senator. Truly born in privilege. I don't need to hear his crap. Who the hell is he to lecture anybody? Systemically racist. Are you systemically racist out there? Well, that's what you're being called. Now, if it's systemically racist, you know what that means? That's how they dehumanize us. We're individual human beings. Some of us are bastards. Some of us are the nicest people on the face of the earth. But by saying these things about an entire race, worse yet, about an entire country, dehumanizes us. Which is exactly what the left wants. Exactly. These football players are sellouts. Basketball players are sellouts. And they're not the only sports, and I'm not talking about one particular race. I'm saying they're sellouts. This guy, Steph Curry's a fraud. So is this guy, George Popovich. They can be angry. Oh, we're angry. Oh, we hate Trump. Oh. George Floyd is a martyr. I know this. Because Al Sharpton's been following the family around. George Floyd was horribly murdered. He's a victim of this cop, his brutality. There's no debating that, period. But now we're supposed to destroy our society and move it hard left. Ban police departments. Anybody want to live in a community that bans the police department? Disbands it. Anybody in the NFL? Kaepernick? I don't even know where Kaepernick lives. Where does he live, mister? Does he live in the Watts? Does he live in Harlem? Does he live in Newark? Where does he live? Does he live in North Philly? I don't know where he is. But he took a knee, man, and that guy's a hero. He took a knee. Not the men and women of all colors who are fighting in Afghanistan, in Iraq. We don't even know their names. Oh, he lives in San Jose in a $3 million house. Okay, I got it. Nice town, San Jose. I used to live in Santa Clara many years ago. I like San Jose. That's beside the point. Beside the point. He's a civil rights leader, Kaepernick. Why? He took a knee. He's changing the entire society. No, he's not. He's not changing a damn thing. He's not changing a damn thing. What's he done? He's brought attention to police brutality. Excuse me. I just gave you the information at the top of the hour. You know where the civil rights movement came from, ladies and gentlemen? It didn't come out of the Democrat Party, I can sure as damn tell you that. It came out of the black churches in the South. It didn't come out of the top 0.1% of the black community or the top 0.1% of the white community. It didn't come from Major League Sports, professional sports. It didn't come from sportscasters. It didn't come from a bunch of millennials. It didn't come from people spray painting. It didn't even come from people trashing America's founding. You know, Martin Luther King never trashed the founding. Abraham Lincoln never trashed the founding. These were true, tremendous, once-in-a-lifetime leaders. They didn't trash the economic system. They were focused like lasers on what the problem was. This is no civil rights movement. This is anarchy. This is chaos. This is people feeling good about themselves. This is people who beat their chests and pontificate. And you put something on social media, you put out a video, you feel better about yourself. I'm down for the struggle. Did you see that video I put out? Oh, man. You see what I got Drew Brees to do? Man, I crushed that SOB. Oh, he's taking knees all over the place. He doesn't have enough knees to take. Oh, man, we got, and that Carson Wentz, we got him, Philly. Yep. And the Democrats. Without the black vote, the Democrats cannot win. So who is the Speaker of the House? A white multimillionaire. Who is the top Democrat in the Senate? A white millionaire who's been in government his entire life. Who's being nominated on the Democrat side for president? A white multimillionaire. He used to brag about being a crime fighter. Now he brags about being part of the solution. Part of the solution. In other words, they didn't nominate an African American for president. They didn't nominate an African American to be speaker. They didn't nominate an African-American to be the Democrat leader. There's not an African-American who runs the NFL. There's not an African-American who runs the NBA. But they're down for the struggle. That's what counts. That's all. That's what counts. It's okay. And don't worry. These same white guys who are making hundreds of millions of dollars a year running these leagues, they stand with BLM. And they agree that the society is systemically racist. Especially the cops are systemically racist. Especially them. Wait till they get to the military. That's systemically racist. Oh, no question about it. We've got to get to them too. But the statistics doesn't matter. You want to talk statistics? How can you talk statistics with chaos and anarchy going on? This is why your freedom of speech is under attack. It's not about informing. It's not about dialogue. It's not about engaging. It's about crushing, destroying. It's about putting a scarlet letter on somebody's forehead who you disagree with. It's about threatening. That's what it's about. You know, this guy, Steph Curry, and this other clown, Greg Popovich, they don't say, you know what, the system is systemically racist. The ownership of the NBA is systemically racist. ESPN, all the other sports channels are systemically racist. I mean, if it's systemic, it's got to be everywhere. That's what that means. So I'm resigning. I want to give my slot up to an African-American or another minority. They don't do that. Why is that? If they got their job because of systemic racism. Now, let me show you this. This is from, I'm trying to read. My eyesight has really gone to hell. This is from fatherly.com/play. This is from 2016. They write, the prices for these sporting events have spun out of control. Between the combined cost of tickets, multiple drinks and hot dogs, parking, and memorabilia like hats and T-shirts, taking your family out to see live sports now costs twice as much as it did even recently. Now, this is 2016, 4 years ago. According to recently published numbers, 2016 saw the cost of taking a family of four to a single NFL game hit the average of $502.82. 4 years ago. For comparison, that's a 232% increase from $151.33 in 1991. Other sports have had similar increases, with an NBA game coming out to an average of $339.02 in 2016, a 139% increase from $141.91 since 1991. Major League Baseball games remain the cheapest of the three at an average of $219, but they've still experienced a whopping increase of 176%. Now, this is 2016. In their own sport, in the game that they play, they have never said, ever, to the owners, we need to slash ticket prices so more people can get in here who are not quote-unquote privileged. More people can get in here from communities that are poor and minority. I'll slash my salary. We got to slash the price of food, slash the price of memorabilia with my name and my number on the. You never hear that. Why? There's their own world. They can actually do something. They have no intention of doing anything. Ever. And then they disrespect you, all of you, regardless of race. They disrespect you, the fans in the audience, NFL, NBA, and all the rest. They disrespect you. You're systemically racist. But please, pay us. Give us the money we want. Same with Comcast. The price for cable is out of this world. Why? Much of it has to do with sports. They have to subsidize these players' salaries and subsidize the owner's profits. And most of these cable companies are monopolies. No, you don't understand. It's the cops. It's the cops. Get the cops. Vote Democrat. Vote Democrat. It's sick. I'm telling you the truth. You want to come here? Come for the truth. I'm prepared to debate any of these people. Any one of them. Any three of them. I don't want to talk about theory. I don't want to talk about abstractions. I want to talk about reality. Reality. Saying something is systemically racist is saying everything and saying nothing. Everything and nothing. But you feel good about it. You're on the right side of history, the right side of the culture. You're going to get praised in social media. Man, it's cool. Look at Drew Brees. He's now down for the revolution. He's very cool. I'll be right back.